Today, we are going to reveal the hidden trap that keeps your daily practices from actually getting traction. Welcome to the Deliberate Life Show, the podcast that helps you put yourself in the driver's seat. I'm Sally Edwards, and I'm here with my big sister, Dana Middleton. Hey, Dana.
Hey, Sally. This is a great topic today because, there are little, almost invisible things that we can do throughout the day that cancel out the great work we do in the morning when we're doing our affirmations or our gratitudes. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. And then your daily practices are going to work better than ever.
Absolutely. And so we know for sure that consistency is so important. And we're going to reiterate that all the time, that it's staying with our practices and doing them over and over again. But there's something else that can come up throughout the day. And that's really this hidden trap that we have discovered. And we really want to teach you about it so it can change everything. And what is that?
I wish I'd learned this earlier because it would have changed everything for me, no doubt. So we're doing an affirmation and we're feeling great in the morning, and then we go into our day and we neutralize it. And what I mean by neutralizing is that you have all this great energy, right? And you want to keep this great energy. That's part of giving the affirmation space to bloom and grow and to become real. But then you get into your day and stuff's happening that is not in that same energy. And we take the bait of that. For instance, let's say you do a money affirmation in the morning, because money's an easy example for this. So let's say it's a money affirmation of like, what's a good money affirmation that you might do?
Well, you might say that money comes to me easily. Yeah, unexpected money comes to me easily. Something like that makes you feel like, oh, that would be nice. It makes you feel good about money.
Yeah, or I'm making friends with money. Money does fall from trees or whatever. Whatever your affirmation is.
Money money does grow on trees. Which
but money is easy for me. I feel abundant. I feel like I always have enough. I feel like I'm living in plenty. These are all the kind of affirmations you can do. And once you start doing them, I like to do them in the morning. It can feel really good as long as we don't hold them too tightly. Let's have fun with them and just relax into it and let them feel good. But then you get into your day. So let's say you've done that money affirmation, you're feeling good, then you get a bill or something breaks down and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to pay this. If you've got some negative money neural pathways already or patterns already, those are going to come up. And you're going to feel like, oh, it may trigger fear. It may trigger anger. It may make you feel like a victim. It's justifiable, right, to us because it happened. This thing happened to me. I've got to react. But it's a very different energy than what you were doing in your affirmation maybe minutes or hours before.
Right. And the real world is going to reveal something very real and tangible. And all of the, I'm friends with money and all of that was in our mind and our affirmation in the morning, it's just going to go out the window because we're going to be facing down this really tangible thing that says that is not the case. And it's right in front of our face. And we are going to respond to it in the way that we normally respond to it, which is probably some kind of fear-based reaction, some kind of either shutting down, anger, victimhood, whatever it may be. And when we're in that state, then we're in a totally different feeling than we were that morning in our affirmation. And like you said, we feel every bit justified for feeling that way because now we are dealing with a very real thing in front of us. But we don't have to deal with it in the same way that we always have.
Yeah, but
it's tricky. But it's tricky.
Yeah, it's tricky because let's say that you have that experience where you got the bill or you got the thing or whatever, and you're having a reaction. You reacted, right? Well, then you compound that reaction by, let's say you go to lunch with a coworker or whatever, and you bring it up because you got to bring it up because that is something that is happening and is really in your vibration now, right? You're really feeling that. You're still mad. You're still angry. You're still afraid, right? So that person, you're going to then commiserate with that person and then make it even bigger because that person is going to say, oh gosh, that's terrible. How did that happen to you? Look what happened to me.
I was about to say, that's what they're going to say. Well, let me tell you about what happened to me.
Let me tell you about what happened to me.
And then it's going to be on this loop, right? Of, as we said, growing up, mully grubbing, of, just getting into that.
No, our mother said that. Is that a real word?
But I don't know. But getting in that loop of just kind of that complaining and feeling very much like we have every right to do it. And
we're justified.
We do.
Because
but
this
it's
thing
not going to get
happens.
us anywhere.
Is not right, but it does happen, and then we one up, right? Oh, this happened to me. Oftentimes, when you're bringing some kind of, thing that happened to you that doesn't feel good to somebody else, they're not saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened." They're saying, they will say, "What? This is what happened to me," and then you'll say, "But wait, this happened to me," And then we ratchet it up, and we're really invested in our limitations. We're invested in that bad thing that happened, and that neutralizes what we did in the morning. That neutralizes that good energy we had about money earlier in the day. Now it's gone.
Yeah. And so we know this could come up. And I mean, this is a real thing. And most of us don't go through life thinking that we are at choice in that moment. We think that this has happened to me and I just have to react the way I always have. So what can we do differently, Dana, so that we don't just fall into that same reaction and then get into that commiserating and that justifying and all of that? What can we do? What is the solution here?
Well, one is, I just want to say, before we even get into the specifics of when we get that thing happens to us that triggers us, is that instead of moving into your life in the old way, bring your affirmation into your life. Right? It's not just the 1 minute or the 2 or the 5 minutes in the morning. It's like, are you living that affirmation? Are you living those practices? Are you taking them into every moment of the day? Or are you just leaving them behind when you start your day?
Yeah. And it's very easy to walk out the door and leave them behind, for sure.
So easy.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can. I mean, little ways to do it. I mean, and before we even get into the solutions of neutralizing, but little ways to do it are to, every time you can say, every time I go into the bathroom, I'm going to say something I'm grateful for. Or every time, I pass under the doorway, I'm going to, like, you have little triggers to help you keep them going throughout the day. And that's really huge. That is a way to keep them alive in your day. But when the neutralizing thing happens, what can we do?
Okay, so let's talk about a different affirmation, for instance. Let's use an example of, let's say an affirmation you're doing is, I feel respected and supported. Because we all want to feel respected and supported. We want to feel that way about ourselves. We want to respect and support ourselves, and we want the world to do that as well. And then you get to work, or you get to wherever you are with people, and someone immediately disrespects you, immediately cuts you off. Oh, I don't, just kind of dismisses you.
Like maybe they discount your idea, or something happens and you feel like you're invisible or whatever. And you're like, like what? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did that? I didn't deserve that to happen. How'd that happen? And we immediately get hurt. We immediately also take it personally.
Yeah. So what do we do?
Well, we, in that moment, if we can, and this is where it really gets challenging, is we identify, first of all, that I have been triggered. This has happened and I'm feeling it. And you know who's going to tell you you're feeling it? Your body.
Your body. Yeah.
Your body is going to tense up.
You're going to tighten up. I do right here, my chest. I'll tighten up
or your
right
stomach.
here. Yeah.
You're going to go, oh, and you're going to feel it. It's almost like you've been hit, or you've been, it's like almost a blow, right? It's an energetic blow, and you feel it. So when that happens, take a second.
Yeah.
I'm having this moment. I'm having this fight, flight, freeze, or faint moment. I am ready to react because I am, all in it. This has happened to me. So first, identify it's happening.
Yeah. And then once you've identified it, and look, sometimes you're going to, identify it 2 hours later, but sometimes if you can catch it in the moment, and over time, the more you practice it, the better you'll get. But it's to take that pause. I'm triggered. I feel that tightness in my chest. I am going to do whatever I can to create just a little gap, a little space between me and the way that I normally respond to that trigger. So maybe I'm going to count backwards from 10. I'm going to take 5 deep breaths. I'm going to get up and go in the other room. I'm going to, go to the restroom, whatever it may be. Try to do something to create just enough gap that you realize you don't have to respond the way you don't have to react the way you always react, that you actually have an opportunity to respond differently. It may not be easy, but that little gap will give you that choice that you didn't
And
have before.
and that response could be, you could say, "Hey, that hurt my feelings." You could say that if you want to get into that, but you know what? You're still in the mix. So it's that idea like, oh, is this personal? Oh, is this about me? Okay, maybe I don't make that person and what they say so important. Maybe they're not right about me. There are internal ways in which you can kind of reframe the situation too. Maybe they've had a bad day, or maybe they're like that habitually. Maybe this is the way that you have a pattern, right? There's a pattern between you and this other person where they often are disrespecting you, and if you reframe that situation to, you know what, I'm respecting me, and I'm not going to play. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to go after them. I'm not going to do the same response. I'm gonna stay over here and do it my way.
And if you can even tell yourself a story that makes you feel better about that person, which, like you were saying, that maybe there's something going on in their life that you're unaware of, maybe you can find a way internally, whether it's true or not about them, you don't know for sure what's going on in their life. But if you can tell yourself a story that helps you feel compassion for that person so that you can, de-escalate your emotions around it, like maybe their parents are going through something, maybe they're having a difficult time with their spouse or their kid, you don't know, but if I tell myself that, I'm going to immediately reframe what I think about them or the situation, and I'm going to find more compassion for them. And why do you do that? Why do you do that? You do it for you, because now you are in a different space around the whole thing. Now you feel better. You feel like you can breathe and you can make a more positive choice in that moment and not just go down, the rabbit hole.
And it's probably a familiar rabbit hole, especially with some people. We have these, we're used to getting into it with them. And with a spouse, for instance, or with, a child or a parent or whatever, somebody's going to say something and that reaction, it just roars to the surface.
Yeah.
And so we're used to it. Like we have a dance we're doing with this person habitually, even if we're not doing it consciously, we're doing it. So when we let go of our side of the rope, like in tug of war, right? That other person, there's nothing to pull against. And if we respond differently over time, even if it's just inside, they will start to respond differently as well. They just will, because they don't have that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what we said earlier. You said don't take the bait. So, if somebody's baiting you, and whether they mean to or not, whether it's intentional, and you don't take it, it will change the whole dynamic, and it will change how you are living your life. And so if you want to live in a more positive energy, then you can start to choose that by not being drawn in, although it's difficult at times, very difficult, but you can choose to not be drawn in because you want to keep that high energy about yourself. You want to be in that positive space, and you can either, be totally drug into it, or you can say, okay, take that breath, take that pause, reframe, and not do it. And it'll be a challenge, but over time, it will make significant change in your life because you'll do it consistently. And that is everything. When we practice and do things over time consistently, it changes us and changes everything.
And we're not trying to say that you don't have justification. If somebody, cuts you off in traffic, if somebody dismisses you in a meeting, if somebody, of course you're justified, you are justified. But it doesn't help you or that affirmation to react in the same way. That's all we're saying, is to somehow remember, I got that affirmation going. I don't want to neutralize it. I want it to work. And if I
Yeah.
don't neutralize it in this really tricky situation, boy, this is my point of power. I am making leaps and bounds actually in this because I am choosing my affirmation over this situation.
Yeah. And that in itself is another practice. So you're doing your morning practices and then you're doing that practice throughout the day of practicing not reacting the way you usually would. And
Yeah.
those will add up for sure. And what we want to know is we would love for you to make comments about like where you might be triggered habitually, what you might do, what gap might you try to create in your life and how you might reframe it. And I'd love to hear what might be, your thing and how you want to change that.
Yeah, or your person or the thing that keeps coming up, because you can choose to neutralize and succumb to lower energy, or you can choose to put your affirmation or your practices, whatever they are, first. And that means putting yourself first.
So try it. We know this works. It's worked in our lives. And we're so excited to hear how it will work in your life.
Yeah, great job. I'm so glad you're here and you're doing this. By the way, please subscribe and like if you're enjoying, our conversations. We want to hear from you, and we certainly appreciate your support.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.